Texas living up to its #3 BCS billing, and how. 40-0 at the half here in Waco at Floyd Casey Stadium. We welcome you back to College Football Saturday, presented by Phillips HD. And Dave, this game turned early when Baylor couldn't score on what was a great drive and got a pick for Texas. And boy, Texas has just been incredible. They haven't let up.
The first drive, 11 plays, over 60 yards, but get no points out of it. And since then, Baylor's gone backwards. I mean, Texas's defense has knocked them backwards, literally.
eHarmony first half stats will show you that story. There's no question about that. Look at the -25 in rushing yards.
Yeah, that's just phenomenal. And Texas has got their running game going. They're averaging over 7 yards a carry. And when they get that running game going with the way Colt McCoy and Shipley can get it in the air, man, they're a snootful. And look at third downs. Coming into the game, Texas had allowed 23% third down conversion. Now all of a sudden, Baylor only goes 1 for 8. And it's an amazing dynamic. Let's take it down to Emily Jones for a report on the sideline. She's got something cooking with Art Briles.
Well, guys, as you can imagine, Art Briles pretty disappointed in the way his team played. He said it can't get much worse at this point. Obviously, that first drive in which they drove the ball down the field, only to have it picked off in the end zone, was huge, but you've got to recover, he said. I said, how do you keep your team in it and not give up? And he looked at me as if I was crazy and said, I don't have to worry about that with this team. They're not going to give up.
All right, thank you very much. And that has been something that has been a staple of Art Briles since he got here, that they do play well, just not looking at the scoreboard, and that's what they're going to have to do here. Williams on the kickoff return takes it to the 14-yard line, and that gives us an opportunity to take a look at Geico Eyes On stats. Why not Jordan Shipley, who last week set a Texas receiving record, doing it all here today?
Jordan Shipley is dynamic. I mean, the short, shallow cross right there, airborne, contested catches his. Every time a football's in the air, he believes that it's his possession. Nice little route there, double move, pump fake from Colt McCoy. He's big time, there's no question. 1st and 10 from the 14.
Running the football and diving forward is Jay Finley that time. Curtis Brown makes the tackle. And we were talking off the air, Dave, what's difficult for Baylor is Texas, if you wanted to say, all right, let's see if we can establish the ground game, if it keeps our defense off the field a little bit and then hopefully opens up the passing, that's the strength of that Texas defense. So there's just no easy way to come back into this game.
And ultimately, when Texas does start to liberally substitute, those backup players, they want more playing time, so they're going to come in with a purpose. I mean, they're not going to come in and just put it in cruise control.
No. Hungry. The carry here is stuffed to Scanaway, nowhere to go. Sam Acho is there to make the tackle.
Mac Brown said, you know, when he went in talking to Emily, going into the locker room, we're going to try to reestablish ourselves in this football game. And that's exactly what they're going to get done here. All of a sudden, right away here, Baylor's facing a third down. They went 1 for 8 on third down in the first half. 1 for 8.
Now they had the one drive, and that's been it. 3rd and 4 here from the 20. Empty backfield for freshman quarterback Nick Lawrence. Complete, and does have the first down. Well done. Keenan Robinson makes the tackle on Justin Akers, the senior from Deer Park, Texas, in the Houston area.
Baylor Bears offensive line will cut block you. They get called one time for an illegal chop in the first half, but part of their regular technique is to chop you, get you down on the ground. They just did on that play.
1st and 10 now at the 26. Lawrence, a 6'1", 190-pound freshman out of South Garland High School. And the handoff there, they nearly intercepted the handoff, if you will. Lamar Houston. Well, what's he been doing back here again?
They try to run the counter, pull the backside lineman, boom. You kidding me? Said, hey, you're not going to run that counter. Houston, he just came right off the tail of the pulling lineman and said, I'm going to be a little disruptive here. Another tackle for loss. I mean, in last week's effort against Central Florida, 13 tackles for loss by 8 different players, 6 sacks by 6 different players. It's same song today. -3 on that play, and Houston just having a stellar senior season. And the man out of Colorado, deflected and comes right back into Florence. So he's
Yeah, when you catch your own pass, you know it's not your day.
Yeah, there's been a couple of crazy things happen. Texas had a ball go right through the tight end's hands into a receiver's hands, and here the ball goes airborne, and Florence says, "I'll track it and I'll make the play on it." Yeah, you go into the stat sheet as completing one yourself for about a yard gain.
3rd down at 13. Yeah, and that's the good news, because it very well could have been picked off and gone in for 6 the other way.
Absolutely.
Lawrence, little bit of protection. Now it breaks down, and you know that we talk about Lamar Houston, who's living in the Baylor backfield. That secondary of Texas just gives that defensive line all the more opportunity to apply pressure.
You're exactly right, Bill. They ran a 3-man route. Look, the back stays in. Everybody's in for maximum protection. And the Texas secondary plasters the 3-man route. There is nowhere for Florence to throw the football. Will Muschamp doing an outstanding job, as always, of mixing up pressure packages and dropping into coverage. He's as good as there is in changing it up on you.
4th and 18, and Jefferson will punt it away. Low kick into that breeze, and Shipley will stay away from this one. You see Shipley's like, doggone it, I want to return them all. It's kind of attitude he's got. We'll take a brief break. 11 minutes to go, 3rd quarter, all Texas. Back at Floyd Casey Stadium here in Waco. Beautiful sunny afternoon that has been pretty for the Texas fans, but not so for Baylor. Texas first possession, 2nd half. Longhorns from their own 4. Colt McCoy with the 1st and 10. And Cody Johnson. Very impressive in the 1st half. And Johnson tackled by Pavlik here. And let's take a look at our UT stars in the 1st half. And certainly those two were among them. As McCoy, 164, didn't have much field to work with. Johnson took care of business with 83 yards rushing. That's already a season best. Did it in a half.
The balance. I mean, every offense is better when it's balanced. When you can run it and throw it, it's tough to defend you.
Johnson again across midfield, and Johnson stopped near the 46. Johnson's freshman year, he ran for 338 yards, had 12 touchdowns. He had a 102-yard game against Texas A&M. He's headed for that century mark here as Landor made the tackle.
Well, just a little inside zone, nice cut block on the backside. You know, once you get a defender on the ground, you cut him in half, he can't make a tackle from laying on the ground. And you just give a nice cutback lane for your running back, and they usually appreciate it immensely. Cody Johnson made it pay off.
16 for 97 now. Play action to Johnson. McCoy. One of the rare times he hasn't delivered it right in their lap, and it is incomplete.
Yeah, he looked down the field there a little bit puzzled. You know, it's like he looked down the field a good one. And a lot of the routes between quarterback and receiver at Texas unfold as the play develops. They have to see the same coverage and make the adjustments in the route. That's why sometimes people are like, well, who's he throwing to? If quarterback and receiver aren't on the same page, it can look pretty nasty. Shipley and Colt McCoy are always on the same page. They read the same things.
2nd and 10. Kirkendall. Solid tackles from the secondary. You'd expect that from Jordan Lake. Lake came in with 300 career tackles, a first-team all-conference pick last year. Closing out his home appearances here at Baylor on senior day.
Yeah, Lake is a headhunter. There's no question about it. His contact ratio has always been extraordinary from the safety position. You look at defenses, you want to be strong up the middle like baseball. Catcher, shortstop, center field. Baylor's got it going on a little bit with Phil Taylor as the catcher, Pavlik as the shortstop, Jordan Lake as the center fielder.
McCoy, plenty of time, and Buckner drops, and then also right there with an opportunity for a pick was Antonio Jones. Either one could handle. And Baylor forces UT into a 4th and 10.
Nice blitz pickup right there by Trey Newton. I mean, he looked like his dad, offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, doing a good job technique, picking that blitz up.
Justin Tucker will kick it away. They'll let it go into the end zone here, and it'll be out to the 20-yard line. Chris Burke back on that play as Tucker boots it away. We'll be right back with more in a moment. It's over. They rolled on to beat Tech, SMU, and Rice to win the conference for the first time in 50 years. You know, Dave, this, not the American Airlines flashback, this facility is actually located in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And I guess it would take a miracle Hollywood style, being down 40-0, for them to pull it off this time.
And Baylor needs a bunch of Beverly Hills cops to help them out because this one's tough for them right now, down 40 points. I thought a classy thing in that after that football game, Darrell Royal going into the Baylor locker room and saying, "Hey guys, this was no fluke. You beat us."
Substitution infraction on the offense. 12 players on the field. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And using an extra player won't work either. You saw that graphic about Baylor's last 7 drives and netting a minus 22 yards after the first drive was 11 for 68.
Well, Baylor's 2 tackles are Canadian, but this isn't Canadian football, so you can't play with 12 guys.
I'm about Watkins out of British Columbia and Philip Blake, sophomore from Brampton, Ontario.
And they're both developing.
Yeah.
They've got some upside potential to them. They're starting to get there. Both good football players.
2nd and 15 following that penalty. And Geddes, the reception across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Geddes coming in here today, 39 for 536 and 3 scores. And he was tackled by Roberson.
Geddes is a guy, body-wise, the National Football League's drooling over. 6'4", 215 pounds, all kinds of ability. 8 catches last week against Missouri for 110 yards. Always had all kinds of potential. Now he's starting to fulfill it.
Lawrence in trouble here. And incomplete, intended for Kendall Wright.
You know, Texas is so disruptive. They don't let you get comfortable with anything. And we talked about it a couple of times during halftime, Bill. 11-play, 60-plus yard drive for Baylor. Since then, nothing. I mean, it has been backwards. Tough sledding's not the word. The sled's been in reverse.
You know, and Wright's an example. Last week, career day. 10 catches, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns against Missouri. Today, 2 catches, 6 yards. He was the intended receiver on that last play. And Epperson will boot this one away. You can see the leg this kid's got.
Yep.
Shipley, did he outkick his coverage? We'll find out. No. Oh, there's a flag thrown. Shipley still on his feet. Circled again and brought down at the 18-yard line as Pratt made the stop.
I admire Shipley for trying to hit a home run every swing. Sometimes the home run's not there. You just got to cut your losses. But it's going to be an illegal block on the Longhorns as well.
During the return, block in the back. Return team number 12. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout on the field.
We'll take a break as well as Mack Brown sees his club up 40-0, 7:23 to go in the third. First and 10 Texas from the 10. And we could carry out to the 16-yard line. Cody Johnson will go over the 100-yard mark as Joe Pavlik makes the tackle on the play. Touchdown marker brought to you by Overstock.com. Shop with the company that supports college football. Overstock.com at home with the O.
You know, I think Greg Davis has to be happy today based on the running game success. He is very, very disappointed, I think, overall in the lack of consistency in his ground game all season. We talked about how they evaluate their run game. We'll hit it after this snap. It's very interesting, the criterion they have for a successful rush.
They run for 170 today. They average 156. Shipley on the pitch and catch. He was tackled near the 22.
For Texas, it's a successful rush if they go 4 yards or more, or a first down or a touchdown. In other words, if it's 3rd and 2 and they pick up 3, that's a successful run. If it's 1st and 10, they pick up 3, that's not. If it's 2nd and goal from the 2 and they score a touchdown, that's a successful run. If it's 1st and 10, they pick up 2, it's not. And they look for 60% consistency on that.
That's an interesting way of attacking as Childs makes the grab here. And the other thing Greg was telling us is that he goes, we're also not so stubborn. It's, you know what, this team, 9 games in, hasn't established that consistency. we're not just going to be so stubborn that, my gosh, we're going to just keep running it and running it and running it, especially as successful as they've been in the passing game. So you kind of balance it over the course of the season. Let's check in with Darren Horton and a Phillips HD game break now. Well done by the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Up 32.
Boy, I'll tell you, Coach Johnson did a great job at Navy. He's gone to Georgia Tech doing the same thing, and it's all about the running game, averaging over 300 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah, people thought, well, you can do that at a service academy, but go to a BCS school? No way. Well, he's proven them wrong, hadn't he?
He sure has.
Incomplete here from McCoy. Got the feeling Mack Brown would like to see this first unit have one good drive, take it to the house, and then be able to say, all right, let's start getting some of our subs in here, but they haven't gotten that yet.
No, and it's hard. You know, when you're up 40-0, you go into the locker room, and the coaches can tell you that, look, we're starting this game over. It's nothing, but you look at them, and you're like, it's 40-0. It's not nothing.
Coach, I can see the scoreboard from here.
Right, and even though you want to buy into it, you know, part of you is, I really know what the real deal is here, and sometimes it's hard, you know, to keep that level of enthusiasm cranked up.
Human nature. 2nd and 10. McCoy to Buckner, and Buckner brought down near the 38-yard line. Blake on the tackle.
But I can't really say there's a better communicator in college football than Mack Brown. I mean, in every single level of communication with his players, with the alumni, with his coaching staff, with anybody. I mean, Mack Brown is dynamic personality, and he gets his message across in a very, very favorable fashion always. I mean, his team buys what he has to say all the time.
He tells them to get better. He keeps trying to get better.
Yep.
3rd down and 2. Oh, Childs was running before he had the football.
Yeah, he looked to make his move inside before he secured the rock. And Colt McCoy's looking at him like, you know, we got to do better than that.
You keep doing that, we'll make you quarterback. Oh, you were.
Yeah. And there's been some inconsistency at the receiver spot. There have been some drops. I mean, you know, you look at some guys that are huge athletically. I mean, Malcolm Williams is a gifted athlete, but he has some problems with inconsistency of the catch.
So Texas will kick it away on a 4th and 2 from its own 39-yard line. And Gold, the punter, moves this one down to about the 10. And Burke spins and hit hard near the 18-yard line, and that's where Baylor will get possession this time, as we got 4:22 to go in the 3rd quarter. Bill Land, Dave Lapham, as well as Emily Jones with you, and Dan Beebe coming in to join us, the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. Boy, I feel like a little guy with you two monsters in here. It's good to see you, Dan.
I feel like a little guy next to Dave.
Well, he does that often.
Yeah.
He's down in the stands. Watch out. But really quick.
2 old offensive linemen. Or
That's right.
Former, not old.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll say old. I'll admit it.
We have a chance to visit with the commissioner here for a little bit, with 1st and 10 for Baylor from its own 19 on this possession for Florence and Crew. And the handoff. Boy, Texas defense just continues to swarm with nothing going again for the Baylor Bears. Well, let's talk a little bit about just the Big 12 in general this year, first of all. Is this where you thought the league would be at this point in the season?
No, I really thought we'd have a better season. I think the 1-point losses in non-conference, you know, hurt us. Hey, give credit to Houston. They came through and beat 2 of our teams on very close games, and so I think that you know, we counted on being a little bit more competitive at this point. But having a team like Texas at the top of the nation is very, very good, and we still got a lot of football to go and great bowl games, I hope.
The fact that everybody's alive for a bowl game opportunity. I mean, I guess that's a double-edged sword a little bit.
Right.
But I mean, not many conferences can make that claim that everybody is still in the hunt for post-regular season activity.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. It puts a lot on the commissioner, because I might have to go find some bowls for some of my teams to play in.
Well, the North, look in your crystal ball and tell me who's going to win that, by the way, as Florence tries to leap and does out of the backfield. Shalubi cuts it back inside, 25-30, and it will be a 1st down here for Baylor. It is, I've been telling people it's all right, the Big 12's down. I'll tell you what it is, it's more unpredictable than ever.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, every week is a mystery, I think, especially in the North. So when you say look in the crystal ball, I don't know. It's pretty foggy right now. I can't see much into the ball.
1st and 10 here. We're going to take a look in a moment at the bowl games that the Big 12 has connections with, and I also would like to get your thoughts. Announcement a few weeks ago about be playing one in the not too distant future up at Yankee Stadium, which ought to be interesting. This one incomplete. Happy with your bowl setup, and tell us a little bit about that one as well.
I'm really delighted. I think that our bowl game lineup for the next 4 years, starting after this year, is going to be incredible. You know, we're finishing off. Unfortunately, we weren't able to hold on to the Independence Bowl, as you see on the screen there, but the Yankee Stadium Bowl will be a tremendous experience for our kids to be able to go to New York and during the holiday season and have that kind of experience in the biggest media market in the world is going to be incredible. And we're very excited about the elevation of the Independence, Alamo, and Texas Bowls in our lineup as well.
2nd and 10 from the 32 for Baylor here with 2:30 to go in the 3rd. And this one across the middle and is complete out near midfield. Nicely done that time. Brad Taylor, junior from Madisonville, Texas, with the reception.
I think that's the first back-to-back first downs Baylor's had since that first drive. I know it was their first 3rd down conversion since that first drive. For Texas to not allow them back-to-back first downs until the 3rd quarter after that first drive is unbelievable.
Texas, of course, realizing that is taking care of business, and there would be seen there was no way that they could not compete in the BCS national title game if they can win out. Take care of business here today. Baylor trying to make a little spark in the 2nd half, and Geddes with the receiver. Flag thrown as he is tackled near the 40-yard line.
Well, he went out of bounds on his own volition, was the first guy to touch it. The official threw his hat. Usually when a hat's thrown, he's marking the wide receiver going out.
Legal touching on the offense, number 4. Went out of bounds on his own and was first to touch a legal forward pass. Lost it down, previous spot, 2nd down.
He comes out from out of bounds right in the Baylor sideline. Looked like it was an extra man entering the field of play, and he's penalized for that. The amazing thing is Texas rushed 3 and dropped 8 and still get pressure on the quarterback with only a 3-man rush.
Hey, Dave, is there any chance you can do officiating and do the announcing at the same time? That was pretty good.
We do that all the time up here.
Yeah, right.
We're just not responsible for our actions.
Sometimes it's unfortunate. You know, I do want to mention that even with the non-conference not going as well as we'd hoped, I really anticipate that with the building, especially the teams like Snyder built and some of the others, when we get in the bowls, I think we're going to show that we're...
Interception, Texas, as the Longhorns get it back on the INT about the time you think that things are going the way of the Bears. Acho, we showed you the Acho brothers. This time it's Emmanuel with the interception.
18th interception of the season now, 2 today, 28 takeaways on the season. This Texas defense is just suffocating. I mean, they plaster receivers, they pressure the quarterback, they stop the run. There's nothing they don't do well.
First interception of the year for Emmanuel Acho, and Texas gets the kind of field position that it had much of the first half, and we'll see what they do with it.
I think a new quarterback, isn't it?
As the 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line, and right up the middle is Trey Newton. Newton down inside the 28 as Garrett Gilbert, the new quarterback for Texas, big freshman out of Austin, Lake Travis. You know, the other thing, Commissioner Dan Beebe is here with us. The Big 12 championship game, the Dr. Pepper game, is at, as we call it, Jerry World, Cowboys Stadium in Arlington. Man, people haven't been there. That's going to be quite a venue.
No question. I've been to 4 football games there, and it is certainly an amazing place. I give a lot of tribute to the Joneses because they have really created a monument to football, and we're going to be able to profit from it in the Big 12 and in college.
And they can get tickets now, right?
Still available?
Ticketmaster.com, yeah.
800-745-3000 or Ticketmaster.com. And Trey Newton looking for running room. That cuts it up the middle. Lost the football. Still on the field, and Baylor has recovered at near the 13-yard line.
Well, we talked about the tickets, but you better get them quickly because they're going fast. We're down to near a sellout now.
Really? That's great.
And obviously, with Texas anticipating being the South representative, still got to take care of some business. But you know the UT fans are going to be all over.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. There's going to be no doubt about that.
Boy, that's just a good job of gang tackling and knocking the football out of possession. A good strip of the football there, and by Jeremy Williams. And a takeaway by Baylor, preventing any further damaged by the Longhorns.
So with 32 seconds to go, it'll be Baylor possession.
My thing is, how lucky are you? I mean, you have a passion for football, and you're commissioner of the BCS conference. Life's got to be good.
I love it. You know, I'm very, very lucky. This is a tremendous job. There isn't a better conference in the country to work with. And, you know, I really have a passion for sports. You know, I played a lot of basketball, just a rec basketball and league basketball. Played rugby for a number of years. Played football in college. Played a lot of other sports that I'm not very good at, tennis, golf, whatever. but so I just love the sporting world. I went to the Women's Soccer Championship on your network last week, handed out the trophy there to Oklahoma State. It's just great. It's great to be around the, you guys know this, it's great to be around the young people and the development and education of youngsters, because you know what it's like to learn a lot from the college sports experience. There's a lot of lessons of life that come through that. So it's just, I'm very lucky to be involved.
Well, you're doing a terrific job. You need any refereeing tips, we can give them to you. Thank you very much, Commissioner. We do appreciate it.
It's always good to have you guys. Appreciate your hard work for us.
Just kidding, Walt Anderson. 40-0 after 3.
Hey, Jude.
Well, we'll take a look here at the DirecTV game summary. And again, Texas, Cole McCoy, 181 yards. Cody Johnson, career-high rushing effort today. Baylor, there's the story. Texas defense, after Baylor's opening drive, has absolutely stuffed them. And now Florence has them 2nd and 12. And the pitch and catch outside to right. Kendall Wright has bumped hard at the 21. We decided to keep Dan Beebe back by popular demand because he is one of the real advocates for all the controversy about BCS and should we have a playoff. You're one that likes the current system, and kind of give us a quick pros and cons of that.
Well, I think for one thing, you know, we commissioners and presidents and others that are in college, we've got the youngsters that we have to keep in mind. We're not professionals that just have to worry about the entertainment value of the sport.
Run up the middle, nothing going for Ganaway.
You know, and the regular season has become the most, in my judgment, the best regular season of any sport. You know, last year in the NFL, you had the Cardinals go play the Patriots, second to last game of the season. Looked like the Cardinals had to win.
Right.
They get blown out.
Right.
They go on to the playoffs with a 9-7 record. The Patriots 11-5. I love pro football. I love the playoffs, but I like ours to be different. I like our situation to be different. And I think that we need to protect the regular season, protect the youngsters who go through so many pressure games all year long, give them a rewarding experience at the end. And it's kind of like Sam Harrell, Graham Harrell's dad said, who's a high school coach here in Texas. And for those not in Texas, in your audience, you know, they have a tremendous high school playoff. But he said, playoffs are fine, but you go home, the only one team is happy at the end. He said, I really enjoy what my son gets in college. You get to go to a bowl game. You get to have that experience, and for years you always talk about having played in certain bowl games and everything, instead of, well, we lost in the first round and we lost in the second round.
Hang on
McCoy may go 4-0 in the bowl.
Hang on. We're going to resume that when we come back after this brief timeout. Longhorns back on the offensive side, 1st and 10 from the 40, and Buckner on the completion from Gilbert. We've got Commissioner Dan Beebe here with us in the booth, and before we let you go, you were talking about liking the current system. I always say if you got the magic wand, you can do whatever you want to do. Would you have an and one? Would you do anything else? And what about those schools that possibly could go unbeaten and not get to compete for national?
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but I would argue that the other playoffs, unless you're going to construct an NBA or Major League Baseball style where you play multiple games against each other, they're not perfect. They don't necessarily end up with the best team winning. I don't think the Giants were the best team when they won the Super Bowl.
Texas on the ground, Fozzie Whitaker, the sophomore out of Houston, Pearland High School, with a run and takes it down to the 42 of the Baylor Bears.
But I respect the advocates for a playoff. I'm not saying that we're absolutely right. I'm just giving another viewpoint that I don't think is expressed enough. And I also think a +1 doesn't solve it. You know, there was Georgia and USC were complaining a few years ago. They were 5 and 6. They wouldn't have been in. So I see the national championship game now as being away from the rewarding experience of the bowls. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on that. That's not a bowl game anymore. That's really a lot of pressure. That's fine, but I wouldn't want to extend that more for these kids. If anything, if there's too much pressure, I think the Big 12 would be willing just to go back to the old system, play good bowl games, and let the pundits decide who number 1 was at the end.
You have your bowl games predetermined as far as your hookups. Here is Gilbert again under pressure, breaks loose, and delivers a bullet. And it's incomplete, though, out near the 31-yard line. All right, finally on that one. Do you think there'll be any other changes, regardless of what your opinion is?
Well, the Big 12, we would like to see a added strength of schedule component. We don't think that there's enough of that in the system right now. Other than that, I don't think, I don't see more pressure. I mean, I see more pressure, but I don't see us changing unless there's so much pressure. Like I said, we go back to the old system. We get a conference or two, have our bowl agreements like the old Rose Bowl was with Big Ten packed in, and we go on.
3rd and 13. Gilbert again avoids the pressure, and incomplete on the Texas sideline.
Mac had quite a few things to say, media-wise about, basically, demeaning TCU and Boise State and schools like that by saying, that they're non-BCS, and there's a double-edged sword, a dual system. If Texas beats Central Florida by 3 points, they get crushed. If TCU beats a team they're supposed to beat by 30 and only won by 7, they don't. All those double standards.
Right.
And you can't get away from all that stuff.
No, you can't get away from the controversy, I don't think. I think it's just going to be part of the system. And it's not perfect, but I think generally for what we have and youngsters that we have to watch out for, I think it's as good as we can get. I do think
Burke on the return here avoided the one tackle, and
I do want to make it clear, those other conferences, there are standards that if the whole conference comes up, they can be an automatic qualifier.
Right.
That's not what's said enough. They can make it, and they've agreed to those standards. So if the whole conference comes up and is competitive, they can be automatic qualifiers.
40-0 Texas, and here's the Keystone Light always smooth moment. Goes to Colt McCoy for the victory today, tying David Green as the all-time winningest quarterback in NCAA FBS history with 42. Absolutely phenomenal and very good again today.
He is, and the thing about Colt McCoy, you can talk about quick feet, quick release, all these quick things. Colt McCoy is quick-minded, and you win with quick-minded people and quick-minded players. And when your quarterback is as quick-minded as that young man, he's a finalist for the Campbell Award. He could be the academic Heisman guy.
Baylor with the football and on the run. Not much room for Finley, stretching it to the sideline. Commissioner Dan Beebe here with us.
What he is as good an ambassador to college football as I've seen. Whether he wins the Heisman or not, it doesn't diminish anything this kid has done for not just this year, for 4 years. He is a true ambassador to college football in the University of Texas.
And Dan, isn't it one of the enjoyment, I would think, the biggest part of your job is seeing, we all talk student athletes, when it is personified with a guy like Colt, and it brings positive to all of college athletics, but particularly in this league. As this one is completion down near the 41-yard line.
Yeah, well, no question. I mean, if we can't develop fine young people like this, then we ought not to be having sports at this level connected to higher education, because that's really the thing that we're in it for, is the educational value. Great entertainment, great for those purposes for fans and others, but if it isn't part of the educational experience, and Colt epitomizes that, then we shouldn't be in it.
And the right checks out a little shaken up after that contested catch. He goes airborne, catches it at the apex. I mean, Florence he pumped double move into double coverage, bracket coverage. Right catches it.
25 yards in the pickup, 1st and 10 at the 41. And on the ground this time for Baylor with 10:50 and counting here in the 4th quarter, as we have had a scoreless second half. First down markers brought to you by Overstock.com. Shop with the company that supports college football. Overstock.com, at home with the O.
College football is, in my mind, at its all-time peak in terms of popularity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. And all the numbers, the ratings, the attendance, all of that data supports what you're saying. You have quick-minded players, slow-minded commissioners. It's all working out great.
Lawrence across the middle and complete at midfield, and then knocked backwards is Smith. They had just 126 yards of total offense prior to that play. They pick up a couple on that one, and it'll move to a 3rd down. We'll see where they spot the football at midfield. So it's going to be 3rd and short, 3rd and 1 here for Baylor to maintain possession.
When you talk about playing fast, that's this Texas defense. They react. They don't think. They just react.
Well, Commissioner, we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much.
Always great to see you guys.
Great to see you,
Thanks.
Commissioner.
Thanks for the replay.
Continue the great work. All right.
Take care.
Time now for a Phillips HD game break with Darren Horton. Should be a great one. And who thought that about Stanford before the season started? But it is great things of college football are the stories that develop over the course of the season that you just don't see coming, and that is one of them.
How about the Harbaugh family? You know, one Harbaugh goes to the AFC Championship game, Baltimore Ravens head coach. Another Harbaugh, head coach for the Stanford Cardinal, and did a great job in the NFL. And the dad, Jack, was a great football coach himself. That's a football family, boy. First family football, the Harbaughs.
2nd and 10. And Florence completes this one. Jordan with the reception takes it to the 40.
You know, one thing that you have to say about an Art Briles coach team, they don't quit effort-wise. I mean, they went on a 4-game losing streak, and NFL scouts that were in here said they practiced like they were undefeated. I mean, they do work hard. They're staying the course and they're working hard.
Coming up next, we saw that doubleheader that's on your way as Akers with the completed pass here. Stanford, USC, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma will complete the triple header here for us. College football Saturday. That Texas A&M Oklahoma game is another one that, with Oklahoma as beat up as it is, Texas A&M goes out, gets nipped at the end by Colorado last week. You just never know with Coach Sherman which team's going to show up. Still a very young football team, but it's in Norman where OU just doesn't lose very often, period.
They're 64-2 under Stoops.
Right, with a reception here. Crowd today of 44,372, the 4th time that Baylor's been over 40,000 since a Big 12 school. So the belief, and yes, there's a lot of Texas fans here, but Art Briles and I think Robert Griffin last year brought optimism back to this program, not just that they're going to have a good year. And Griffin gets hurt, but even today you can see the way they continue to play. And, you know, there's going to be a score as the interception. Ben Alexander to the end zone. Touchdown.
That is the...
Beg your pardon, not Alexander, but Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones.
That was the 10th non-offensive touchdown of the season now for University of Texas. How about that? 10 of them. That's 2 kickoff returns, 4 punt returns. Now that's the 4th interception return for a touchdown. 4 pick sixes. Wow, that is an opportunistic defensive bunch. Will Muschamp, man, that's 73rd of the season. Puts them in sole possession of 2nd in the country behind Virginia Tech.
Yeah, since '99, only Virginia Tech.
99, right.
I'm gonna say, wait a minute.
Season, that'd be a heck of a year.
They are good.
10 this year. 10 of those 73 are this season now.
So 60 yards on the return. Eddie Jones, the 6'3", 260 out of Kilgore, Texas. Capping off a great day for the Texas defense. We still got 7:37 to go.
You know, you look at the Longhorns, Bill. They get 10 non-offensive touchdowns this year. They had 5 in 08, 5 in 07, 8 in 06. They've been doing it forever. And there's Jones, who just got the last one.
And Texas will kick it off. Out of bounds, and flag is thrown. Let's send it down to Emily Jones for freecreditreport.com sideline report. Emily?
Be talking about developing these guys as student athletes, more than just football. And I talked to defensive coordinator for Baylor, Brian Norwood, before the game. He said Joe Pavelic addressed this team last night going into their final home game. And he said it was very touching what he said, that when he came here to Baylor, it seems like, what, 10 years ago now, that he was with a group of guys that they had very little in common, but they learned about each other and they embraced each other, and now they're closer than ever. And experiences like that is what they're trying to get out of college football. It's what they're doing here at Baylor. It's what they're doing throughout the Big 12 and hopefully throughout college football. And those are the kinds of things I think that Commissioner Beebe was speaking about. Yeah, and thanks, Emily, and Joe Pavelic and Jordan Lake, some of these great seniors that have been here. And we give numbers and stats, but he is the epitome of student athlete, and the guy who
Came out of San Antonio Smithson Valley High School and not real highly recruited, but answers every game, and just all he does is just tackle the guy with the ball. I mean, it's very simple. Academic All-American as well. So Baylor was back to work here with 7:33 to go. And by the way, we were keeping an eye on that wacky North. Missouri leading Kansas State 24-12, start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Missouri already with 4 league losses, so they're out of it. But to Kansas State coming in at game 4-2, everyone thought the big one for them would be next week with Nebraska.
Right.
Not so fast in the North, that's for sure.
Missouri playing spoiler, you know, and that's what they're doing to each other. They're spoiling each other's seasons in that North.
Nobody going to be happy when it's all said and done, other than the team that goes to Arlington. Ooh. Big hit, but a nice catch by Kendall Wright, and then Wells makes the tackle.
You know, the last Texas shutout, you have to go back to November 5th of 2005. They pitched a shutout against Baylor, 62-0. Here in this one, it's 47-0.
Well, will they answer it here? Smith to the 20 on the reception and out of bounds. Clock stops with 6:45, and be a 1st and 10. Vaccaro makes the tackle.
You know, you're right, Bill. You look at some of these athletes at Baylor. J.D. Walton, the center that's going to go in the NFL draft. You know, you look at Pavelic, you look at Lake. I mean, these guys, you know, I have a lot of respect for them. They have a passion for the game. They're teammates at the university. I mean, Pavelic, to me, is he's seen a ton of snaps. This guy, he's not going to run the fastest, jump the highest. All he does is make plays. He's so savvy. You know, you can't fool him. And unfortunately, we have an injury down there, don't we?
Yeah, it's Wells that is down. We'll take a break. We'll come back here with 6:39 to go to attend to Ben Wells. Texas 47-0. eHarmony stats. How about this as Colt McCoy continues to move up the all-time total offense charts. 13.757. Some pretty good college company that he is among now. And with games to go still, of course. Baylor here with the 2nd and 1 gets the first down. But we talked a little bit earlier on about Colton Heisman Trophy, and I guess I bring the why not?
Yeah.
You know, what is not deserving? And obviously, the games down the stretch are going to be critical because it is still wide open.
Exactly. He's got work to do. He is definitely a primary candidate.
Baylor trying to ruin this Texas shutout. And Taylor with the reception takes it to a 1st and goal situation now. Brad Taylor.
The thing about Colt McCoy, though, 42-7, winner on the field, winner off the field. As good a human being as you're ever going to want to meet. I mean, if you're his parents, your chest has to be so swollen you can't get in and out of the doorway.
And you need to measure leadership when you talk about best football player. On the ground, trying to push in. Not going to make it yet. The 1-yard line. And Dustin Ernest making the stop there. You know Will Muschamp's defensive group, even though many of the backups said they're going, hey, come on, let's protect that 0 on the scoreboard underneath Baylor.
It's hard to pitch a shutout no matter what level of football you're playing. Pee-wee football on up. If you can hold an NCAA Division I football team out of the end zone, man, that's major league. 2nd and goal now.
Ganaway. He got in. Crossed the plane. And Baylor is on the board with 5:18 to go. Ganaway gets his 5th touchdown of the year. A 1-yard plunge into the end zone.
6 feet, 245 pounds with that low pad level. Good job by the offensive line. They got some decent blocks up front. Paved a little bit of a path there for Ganaway to finalize.
So Ganaway with the touchdown, and the point after attempt is good, and Baylor makes it 47-7. We'll be right back. 47-7 as Baylor gets on the board with a rushing touchdown, which is a rarity, and the kickoff goes out of the end zone. It's absolutely amazing when you delve further into these Texas defensive numbers.
That's only the third rushing touchdown they've given up all year, Bill. And
10th game.
Yeah. They've given up 9 passing touchdowns. They've only allowed 12 scores on the defense in 10 football games. That will win you a bunch of football.
Come in third in the league, 8th nationally in points allowed, 13.6. They're going to drop it a little bit here. That's the other thing about the Big 12. Last year was all offense. This year, instead of saying down, why don't you give a little credit to this defense, OU's defense,
right,
and Nebraska's defense that are all highly ranked and the real deal.
Fair point.
1st and 10 from the 20. Gilbert going here to Buckner, and Buckner brought down at the 23. Don't forget, coming up, 2 more great games, Stanford and USC, and then Texas A&M and Oklahoma. And both very important games from the Pac-10, Stanford and the Trojans, and for the Big 12, Texas A&M and Oklahoma in Norman. Part of our triple header on college football Saturday. McGee, Vondrell McGee with the carry, and 2nd and 7 picks up a couple, brought down by Antonio Jones.
Vondrell McGee coming back from a little bit of a shoulder issue himself. He's got a little bit, see on that left, the harness on the left shoulder, see that deal apparatus on his left arm? A little bit of a harness and strap that's helping that left shoulder ailment out.
It's part of the problem that Texas has had in developing its consistency in the running game is nagging injuries that have kept key performers from playing every week and becoming consistent runners, as Buckner couldn't quite hang on to that pass from Gilbert.
Well, you can really see that Gilbert he's got some skills. There's no question. I mean, he's big, he moves well, he's got a nice arm. They've got themselves another one that they can develop. And you know, the thing is, the Texas coaches, what they do, they recruit you, and then they develop you. And then there's no better staff that can claim development of players than the Texas staff. They've done a great job over the years.
Forrest Garrett, the son of former NFLer Gail Gilbert, and out of Lake Travis High School there in the Austin area. Unbelievable high school numbers. And as Dave mentioned, he's got all the tools. This manager trying to get him experience. And Williams comes across the 45 out near midfield. Think of a run that time. As Baylor again, they are not looking at the scoreboard, obviously, as the Bears continue with Terrence Williams on the return. Final home game, they've got a road game at A&M next week, which again, who knows what to expect down in Aggieland, and then they'll finish up with a neutral site up in Arlington, and that game will be on FSL on Thanksgiving weekend on a Saturday against Texas Tech, again at Cowboy Stadium there in Arlington. So it'll be interesting to follow what transpires there. The Bears are going to fall to 4-6 after this one. They'd have to win their last 2 to get bowl eligible. Akers, the receiving end to the 40.
Well, in space, Dustin Ernest found himself. Didn't make the play in space. Picked up nice yards after catch there. For the most part, Texas did a real good job in minimizing yards after catch when those Baylor's wide out today.
Outside this time to the, not much doing, about the 40-yard line. Davis makes the stop.
And this is where, these are number 2s now that are in there, and watching these guys run to the football. I mean, there's no substitute for speed. Texas, the coach has done a great job of recruiting speed, and you have to have it in this conference against these spread offenses. Boy, does Texas run to the football as a defensive team. Man.
3rd and 1 for Baylor. And the first down, and maybe more. The 25, and down inside the 20, Terrence Ganaway with the run, brought down by Vaquero. 2:55 to go.
Well, they run this little isolation play a couple of times. A nice job up in the interior of the offensive line for Baylor, and they really established a crease, and the lead block was done nicely by Andrew Judy. They were off to the races for some positive yards. No quit in the boys up front either.
16 yards on the play, and a 1st and 10 at the 24 for Baylor. Back to Florence, and Florence breaks the tackle before he's hit hard right around the 20-yard line. Dustin Ernest made the most of his start today, taking the place of Roderick McElroy, who's bit banged up and able to take a week off. Texas, they got Kansas next week, and Kansas is a bunch that, goes off to, what, a 5-0 start for the Jayhawks this year and haven't won since. And they're just getting underway shortly against Nebraska today in Lawrence.
Lawrence did a nice job of that play. Ganaway, it was a broken play, and at least he hit the right hole, it was called.
Oh, Lawrence, incomplete across the middle. UT, after meeting Kansas next week, then Texas A&M. And you know anything about football, you know no sure thing there, especially in College Station. And then what would be the Big 12 championship game, assuming everything's all taken care of. And there's what's ahead for the Longhorns.
And again, the goals, Big 12 South, then long-term Big 12 championship, then the dream goal, the national championship. And all of it's still on course for the Longhorns.
They need to win again next week in order to clinch the South championship. Of course, pending with Oklahoma State playing Texas Tech tonight.
You look at it, a lot of similarities. Vince Young beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl the year before they won the national championship against USC. Colt McCoy beat Ohio State, another Big Ten opponent, in the Fiesta Bowl. Will that be before a national championship? Colt McCoy sure hopes so, and I can't think of a more deserving player than a national championship for Colt McCoy and his team.
And they started 9-0 in 05, a national title year. They're going to be 10-0 now after this one here today. Trying to keep them out of the end zone. Unable to, it appears. Touchdown, Baylor. Brad Taylor on the reception. And second effort and more to get into the end zone for his first touchdown of the season for the junior from Madisonville, Texas. A former quarterback shows he can take a hit. 19 yards on the scoring play.
6'3", 235 pounds. And he just lowers the shoulder and, boy, thumps in there inside of the pylon. He is a big physical guy, obviously with great athleticism, having played the quarterback position. Baylor has 7 former quarterbacks playing other spots on their roster.
And the point after is good by Story, and that Gary Stone, I should say, senior out of Dallas, has taken over the kicking duties here, and his PAT is good. It is 47-14.
This Texas defensive football team, when the number ones were in there, working against Baylor's number ones, suffocating. The number twos have not been able to hold up.
But it took until this drive, Dave, where we now got 1:40 left playing the game, for Baylor to get into the positive rushing category. They've run it 28 times for 6 yards. The passing game has been a little bit different, as Florence is 28 of 45 for 240 yards, but he's had a couple picked off and the 1 TD pass.
Well, you look at it, they were giving up 55 yards a game coming in. That was number one. 1.8 a rush. That had to be amongst the best in the country. They'd only given up 2 rushing TDs, tied for first in the country. They're still going to be up there in every single category.
And the kickoff. Monroe, 10, 20, and brought down the 28-yard line, DJ Monroe. He's already had a couple of kick returns for touchdowns, so they got game breakers there too. The freshman out of Angleton, Texas, is 5'9", 170.
Well, you have a situation where a lot of these kids were high school All-American players, and their only chance to make an impact is on special teams, and they take those snaps seriously. I mean, they go out there and get after it. Texas has so much athleticism on that roster.
1:34 remaining. 1st and 10 at the 27 for the Longhorns. And Garrett Gilbert hands it off. Tough run that time by Vondrell McGee, the junior out of Longview, Texas. McGee with a couple of scores this year. Has run for 275 yards coming in. So Texas, one of the 6 unbeaten in the BCS. We mentioned Cincinnati took care of business with a win over West Virginia last night. That was anything but easy.
Right.
And the rest of those, TCU and Utah, a huge game tonight up at Fort Worth with Mountain West battle. You've got Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, South Carolina, and Boise State, Idaho are the other matchups involving the unbeatens. As we get down to the nitty-gritty of the stretch drive of college football.
You know, as you look at these players, they have to get in a routine, and one of the big things that you need for a successful performance is pregame meal. We had a pretty good pregame meal last night at Texas Roadhouse, Bill.
Boy, did we.
That was some good grub-a-dub-dub. I love groceries. They had some
entire crew, and when you give it an A,
man,
we know it is official.
That dog will hunt at Texas Roadhouse.
Ooh. That may be it for the final play with the clock winding down as Texas will cruise to a 47-14 victory and go 10-0, 7-0. And Mac Brown will come over and visit with Art Briles as the Bears fall to 4-6 and to 1-5 in the league. Longhorns 6-0 in conference play. Jordan Lake, congratulations on a fine career from Coach Brown as Texas bolted out to a 40-0 halftime lead and then just took care of business here in the second half. And Baylor, you do give them credit, they hardly called it quits and end up getting a couple of late touchdowns and more impressively did a nice job of holding Texas offense under control. It could have been embarrassing. We'll send it down now to Emily Jones with Mac Brown.
Well, Mac, you get the win. Second half, you probably weren't pleased with, if I know you well enough. Just talk about the statement that you guys made.
Well, it was a great statement for us, Emily. We came out, we played hard, we played well. The third quarter, we had a couple of miscues on offense we need to get straightened out, but we played so many young guys, and I thought they hung in there and played pretty good at the end.
Talk about the tied now for the winningest college quarterback in the history of the NCAA.
Colt McCoy has been unbelievable for the University of Texas and for college football, and to tie that record today and have a chance with some games left to still beat the record is just a phenomenal feat for him and something we're really proud of at the University of Texas.
And then I wanted to ask you about the lieutenant colonel that was in the house with you guys tonight.
Lieutenant Colonel Gadsden, who lost his legs in Iraq, fighting for us, is such an inspiration. He's just a wonderful person. He's a great story for all of us, and just gave us a little extra boost today.
And he did say that he was in charge of, you know, the score and when to let up, and there was instructions not to let up at any point. Is that correct?
He said that in the military you wait till the mission is over, so now we can take him inside and let him release us, and then we can start getting ready for Kansas.
All right, Coach Brown, mission accomplished, 10-0. We appreciate the time. Bill, back up to you.
All right, impressive indeed, and all the respect in the world for that man as well, Dave.
Not kidding. Tell you, we thank you, and God bless you.
Texas 47, Baylor 14 coming up next. College football Saturday tripleheader continues with a Pac-10 showdown. Stanford faces number 9 Southern Cal, and then later Texas A&M will head to Norman for a Big 12 South showdown with Oklahoma. For Dave Lapham, Emily Jones, and our entire college football Saturday crew, this is Bill Land saying so long from Waco. A 47-14 final, Texas on top.